Number 4. Spinochordodes Tellinii. You're heat dumb and thirsty on a summer run, dry mouth and sweaty hands, so you cut across a fallow field and grab the nearest relief, a bright green stem of grass. You chew it like it's the most delicious thing ever, and when you hit the drainage ditch, you crouch to splash your face. One careless sip slips the wrong way. Just a gulp of dirty ditch water and a few squishy bits clinging to the grass stem you were chewing. They're not dirt. They're tiny, sleeping passengers glued to vegetation, waiting for a ride with whoever swallows first. A Spinochordodes Tellinii is a horsehair worm, essentially a sentient strand of angel hair pasta that spends its glory days in ponds. But once this living filament is inside a body like a cricket or a grasshopper, it grows absurdly long, 3 or 4 times longer than the host. Out in the water, plenty of things try to eat these worms, but hair worms have amazing party tricks. Some species can literally bail out of a predator's gut and wriggle away to stay alive. It's important that you know that most of the parasites in this video can't actually do any of these things with humans. But because we have the power of animation on our side, we will pretend that they can for the sake of the video. Once the worm reaches adulthood and is ready to return to water to reproduce, it faces a problem. Its host is terrestrial and would normally avoid water. The sinister evolutionary solution is that Spinochordodes has learned how to alter the victim's mind. Although biochemical details are still being studied, the parasite is thought to release molecules that interfere with the host nervous system, possibly neurotransmitters that tweak the victim's aversion to water. The result is that you begin to feel an incredible amount of thirst, and instead of avoiding lakes and rivers, the infected host actively heads to the nearest body of water and jumps straight into it, effectively making it a parasite that can force someone to off themselves. But the jump into the water is the least brutal part of the process. As soon as you fall in and drown, the worm exits the body. The adult parasite usually emerges from the rear of the abdomen, a scene often described as horror movie-like, with a long living thread 4 times longer than you, writhing out of your dying body. Free in the water, horsehair worms can swim, find mates, reproduce, and restart the cycle. The host inevitably dies by drowning or by trauma after the parasite leaves. Number 3. Massospora. Imagine you're mushroom scouting in the woods for a little weekend enlightenment. Phone in one hand, field guide in the other, because nature's microdose is cheaper than a cover charge. You spot a tidy tan cap, brush off some dirt, and take a just a nibble taste test. The cap is earthy, a little bitter, and dusted with a chalky sprinkle that fell from a cicada husk hanging above you. You chew, swallow, and grin at your own bravery. Massospora is a cicada specialist fungus, meaning it can only infect cicadas and are the culprit behind the US headlines about zombie cicadas that happened last year. Some species in this genus even pack psychoactives like psilocybin, which is the active compound responsible for people consuming mushrooms as a recreational drug. But even though it's just a psychedelic drug for humans, the wildest trip is what a Massospora can do to a cicada. The fungus stays dormant in the body until the host reaches puberty. Then it is triggered by rising temperatures and hormonal changes. The first thing it does is colonizing your abdomen, growing internally without your notice. Then, the fungus literally consumes your genitals and the rear of your abdomen. In place of the consumed part, a giant mass of fungal spores forms, white or yellowish, like a powdery plug at the end of your body. Despite this grotesque bodily destruction, which is described as straight out of a horror film, you somehow stay alive and active. The fungus avoids killing the host immediately. Instead, it keeps you alive and mobile without your low end, turning you into a spore-dispersing vector. The craziest part is that infected hosts don't seem to realize that a third of their body has been replaced by a fungal block. You keep walking, eating, and, crucially, trying to mate as if nothing happened. Here lies Massospora's strategy. By driving the zombie host to persist in sexual behavior, the fungus ensures its spores have a chance to contaminate other people. So it controls your mind, making you only think about sex and nothing else. Scientists have also observed another curious behavior. Infected males start mimicking female signals, behaving like a female to attract interested males. When healthy males approach expecting to mate, they contact spores and become infected too. An ingenious way for the fungus to spread sexually to as many hosts as possible, even if the original host is not a female. Number 2. Cymothoa exigua. Imagine you're night fishing off a warm pier. You crack open a snapper's mouth to unhook it, and a pale, thumb-sized bug blinks back from inside. You laugh, Toss the fish in the cooler, then dive in for a rinse. You're swimming back to the pier when a wave comes into your face. You cough, gasp, and swallow, and something hard rides that gulp. By the time you climb the ladder, your mouth tastes like copper and pennies, and there's a new weight at the base of your tongue that wasn't there 2 minutes ago. A Cymothoa exigua is a parasitic isopod crustacean, often called the tongue-eating louse. Unlike many parasites that attack mammals or birds, this peculiar isopod can only parasitize marine fishes. It belongs to the Cymothoidae family and has a unique behavior in nature. It functionally replaces one of the host's organs. In simple terms, this small crustacean is the only known parasite that literally takes the place of part of its host's body. The cycle starts when a Cymothoa enters the host through the mouth. Then, the parasite attaches at the base of the tongue, gripping it with extreme strength. Typically, a female isopod anchors to the tongue while smaller males may be present on the gills behind her, here in your ears, because you're not a fish. Once they are all attached, the parasite damages the tongue's blood vessels, cutting off circulation completely. Without blood, the tongue atrophies and eventually necroses, basically rotting and then falling out of your mouth. At that point, the isopod fills the empty space and acts as your new tongue, linking itself to the remaining muscles of your old one. Surprisingly, the fish remains alive and can use the parasite as if it were a real tongue to manipulate food. Cymothoa feeds on the host's blood and mucus while it remains attached to it. For the fish, despite the discomfort, the parasite isn't usually fatal. In many cases, the infected fish lives normally, just with a replacement tongue. Studies indicate that a fish with a single isopod can remain relatively healthy. However, multiple infestations can debilitate the host, leaving it thin and weakened. Still, there's no evidence that this species releases toxins or causes other diseases. Its impact is mainly mechanical and nutritional. But before we get to our top one, please subscribe to the channel and like the video. These animations might look simple, but they're actually really expensive and take a long time to make, so liking and subscribing is the best way to let me know you want more. Now, let's go to the top one. Number 1. Ophiocordyceps. You went on a guided trail in a lowland rainforest in South America with 2 real guides because you've learned your lesson from the last time. Your boots are squeaking and you hear crickets in the background. When y'all get near a sapling, you spot a body that in no way should be standing. Jaws clamped under a giant leaf vein, legs splayed like a broken umbrella, a dark spike growing from the back of the head. Around it, you see many other corpses, like you're in a giant graveyard. You run from it as fast as you can, but it's too late now. You cough once, twice, not knowing the musty air you just inhaled was full of their spores. You think stupidly that the same kind of thing could catch you anywhere, chewing bread crusts or breathing stale dawn air on an abandoned mall roof. But here in the jungle, the trap is literal, and it's already inside you. Ophiocordyceps is a fungus that infects ants, mainly those of the Camponotus group in tropical forests. It earned the nickname zombie ant fungus because it completely changes the ant's behavior, making it do many weird things for its own benefit. In the end, the parasite uses the ant's body as a platform to grow and spread its spores, which is how the fungus spreads itself to other hosts. After entering, the fungus spreads through your body and begins consuming its nutrients, but it doesn't kill you right away like most parasites. As the infection progresses, the fungus completely hijacks your muscles and nervous system to change your behavior. You suddenly leave your normal trail without answering any of your friends, and when you find a small plant close to the ground, here, a giant one because you're not an ant, you climb up about 20 meters above the soil. When you finally get up there, the parasite forces you to bite extremely hard into the vein of a leaf, and your body remains stuck there while you slowly die. The jaw muscles go rigid and can no longer open because the fungus has damaged them from the inside. Even after you die, which would only happen many hours later, the grip remains tight, holding the body firmly in the chosen spot. Only after you're completely dead and the fungus has your body in a fixed place does it start its reproduction phase. Many stalks start to emerge from the back of your head with different sizes but equally disgusting. Inside them, spores form and are later released into the environment, falling onto leaves and soil below. Other people that pass through can become infected, and unless a vaccine can be made with a special girl, the cycle happens again and again. In real life, it's not uncommon to find small areas with several ants stuck like this, forming what looks like graveyards of the fungus.